I mean? When we come together like this, incredible things take place. See, we connect thoughts to collect shorts, and only the strong survive. I love my black people.
Okay. So now title, what is it?
Title insurance is one of those things, like I said earlier, is just it's the public doesn't really understand or necessarily know about it, but it's a necessary evil in a real estate transaction. It covers you. It's the only policy that you'll buy as far as insurance that goes backwards as opposed to forward, right? So when you insure your car, you're insuring yourself from future events, from something that could happen in the future as far as getting in an accident or whichever. With title insurance, we're insuring you that you own your property from the date you own it all the way back. So if there's anybody that pops up out of the blue that says I have a claim on the property, we insure you from that. And there's just many different scenarios that can be created from that. So it could be a family member, it could be someone that was necessarily, it was sold when it wasn't supposed to be sold, and there's a lot of fraud situations that happen that we protect you from, and it's just a necessary piece of the transaction.
Okay, now question: do you see that often, like a person coming with a deed that was unfiled but can be verified somehow? Like, because I as far as title's concerned, they use public records.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
Now, with us being realtors, a lot of the times public records is not right. You know, like the bedroom, bathroom count to be off.
Sure.
The square footage might not be accounted for correctly.
Yeah, there's human error on every side.
Yeah. I mean, and then also just them not recording stuff. Depending on how far back things went. Now, do you guys see that often?
Yes. Well, we'll see attempts of it. We try to block it, but I was. We lost a fraud case up in Northern California just last year for about $450,000 that we had to pay. So it's about $500,000 that we had to pay. And it was basically human error on the title officer side that missed a deed that was there that should have been acknowledged but wasn't. And it happens. That's why you have insurance. As far as the cost relationship, I think, as far as your investment, we're looking at Southern Cal. So it's minimum $500,000 to move into a home. Mm-hmm. So to protect that investment, are you willing to pay $1,500 for a policy? And that's a flat $1,500 and you're done. It's not $1,500 a year or anything like that. Yeah. So it's just in relation to protecting yourself, definitely very important.
That's a good investment. That's a good investment to have. Yeah. Okay, so title insurance protects the buyer, or both the buyer and the seller?
We have a seller's policy that will protect the seller, and what that does is protect them from anything that might pop up later after they've walked away from a property. They're insured from any last-minute claims or anybody that's popping up on title, and we insure the buyer. We basically insure the loan on the buying side. So whatever the amount is financed, we're insuring it for the lender, so they're covered as far as if something does happen. So.
Oh, okay. Well, another form of insurance.
Another form of insurance.
How much you think the average person pays in insurance when you think car?
Wow.
Home,
per year? Are we breaking
title.
This down?
That's about all insurance. Like you probably pay half your income in insurance.
It's true, actually.
My goodness.
Yeah, there's all kinds of insurance, really, when you think about it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, as far as the importance of title insurance, I think we could pretty much assess that now. Is there ever a scenario where you would recommend a person not to get title insurance?
Like I just pointed out, as far as the price difference of what your, the cost, the investment as opposed to your loss, $500,000 for $1,500. I just don't think there's ever a case that you would want to. Mm-hmm. One thing that happens is a lot of people will do an uninsured deed, which is simply, if I own a property and I want to, you're my good friend, and I want to, we have a transaction off the market, and we're good with the whole thing. We get it recorded. That's an uninsured deed. So what happens is, let's say I deed it over to you, I walk away from it. Because it's an uninsured deed, there's an extra step that we need to go through to make sure that was what was meant to be, right? So we go back, we try to contact myself the title company does to say, this is a deed that's signed by you. Is this your signature? Can we was this notary done?
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. So if me and my father, say me and my father have the same name, Junior Senior, he decides to sell me his house, but he gives me a sweetheart deal on it. Say he has an old loan where the loan is assumable, and he said, okay, give me $10,000 and I'll transfer the deed to you through like a quick claim.
Right.
That's considered a uninsured.
Still an uninsured deed. It's still within the family, which is better. It's not necessarily outside the family, but it's still something that we have to investigate because it wasn't an insured transaction. And so where that comes down to is we're going to insure the property after that fact, right? So you're going to go to sell it. We're insuring the property past that to the new owner of that property, and we're saying you own this property. What we do to make sure is that the deed between your dad and yourself was legit.
Make sure that that's what he wanted to do.
Exactly.
And you would do that by?
Well, we investigate. Basically, we have to either contact the notary. Most often, we'll contact him directly, and we need to speak with him. And there's another uninsured deed transfer form that we have him fill out, and we get that notarized as well. And that protects us from we're insured the property after you sell it. Your dad can't pop up and say, I never meant to sell it.
Or you put a gun to my head.
Exactly.
Okay,
or I was ill. A lot of times this happens when people get really ill and people see windows of opportunity, unfortunately, and within families. It's not a pretty thing, but it happens.
Thanks for watching Real Estate Corner on the Millionaire Mindsets podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Tullis. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, or you could DM me for more in-depth questions. I'll answer either way. I'm providing one-on-one consultations for all current and future homeowners. You can't predict the market, but you can get educated. Why not you? Why not now? Like, share, and subscribe.